Hi, we are live from Bengaluru and we are at the second edition of ET Entrepreneur Summit. I have with me Ankur Mittal, who's partner Physis Capital and co-founder at Inflection Point Ventures. Hello Ankur, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Ankur, what's your outlook on startup funding in 2025?
Yeah, we've been hearing about this funding winter over the last 2 years. In fact, I was just reading this morning that last year has been one of the slowest in funding, where the big funds have largely just written follow-on checks in their existing portfolio. But at the same time, the reality is record capital was raised in 21-22. Majority of it is yet to be deployed. And at some stage, that activity should come back. We are already seeing very good green shoots. We are already seeing momentum, at least in early stage investing, which was probably also the least affected during this funding winter. But we are seeing some big funds coming back into the market. But it's still a good time to invest where you can still get good valuations. That trend should continue for the next 6 to 8 months. But yes, overall for calendar year 25, I'm very optimistic that we would be having a very different tune by the time this year ends.
What's your advice for startup founders navigating this funding winter?
I mean, the advice we gave to our portfolio founders, and which is why Touchwood probably we have been able to protect most of them during this time, build good, solid, sustainable businesses. Businesses which can then immediately benefit once the funding momentum is back through acquisition. But till that time, the organic growth and the organic sustainability should be very important. Gone are the days where you can just demand capital. Capital is no longer available on demand. And I think that's not really bad for the ecosystem where you are being forced to build some good sustainable businesses. At the same time, if you are a founder who is looking to build something which has a long gestation, I think more and more investors are open to now investing in those kind of startups, which was probably not there 10 years back. But many of us have now received some good exits over the last few years. And that gives us the confidence to back ideas, which even may have a longer gestation period.
Like a deep tech startup.
Like a deep tech, space tech, those kind of startups, which by definition would require, patient capital. I think that, that sentiment is coming even in early stage investors as well. Like at IPV alone, we have funded a couple of space tech startups.
Yes. Your specialty being deep tech and space tech. Yes. Any advice to early stage founders as to how to pitch to investors in this funding winter?
Yes. It is, don't worry about the funding winter. You see, the problem is if you overthink about these are the things not in your control. Macro is not in your control. What is in your control is what product you can build. And for that, what funds you need, what team you need, and be very focused on that. Other things, there is no point. So when you go to an investor and you are telling them a 5-year horizon, when the current fundraise is only going to give you 12 months runway, you're putting too many questions in the founder's mind. Be very, very focused on what you're raising money for, what problem you're solving, how will you solve, and how will this funding take you to the next level of growth. I think if you keep it very, very relevant, I think again, it's we got carried away in 21-22 where people were like going after some very, very long-term projections, but which is also important. You need to have a long-term vision, but focused approach to the investors and very clear, transparent answers. And another thing is founders should be okay to answer questions that the investors have. I think it's important. It's a two-way relationship. Investors are putting in trust. Investors need to understand that founders have to run the business, not them. But at the same time, founders need to understand that the investors are a very important stakeholder in their success. So I think being transparent in the conversation and being very, very specific about what they need and why they need it, would help them.
Thank you, Ankur. What's your experience been at the summit?
Excellent. I think some great speakers and very, very well organized. Expect nothing else from a brand like ET, I think, which is at the forefront. I think many of the founders would have grown up by reading your deals and startups and, disruption pages, getting inspired with them. I think India needs an ecosystem that you are very important stakeholder of. So yeah, would love, I love reading about, new startups getting funded, new trends. So I think a lot of good work and a good editorial team behind ET, which is focused on this sector. So, thank you. You are inspiring a lot of founders to come forward and build their dreams.
And thank you, Ankur, for joining us at the ET Entrepreneur Summit.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.